Hello, this is Andrea Hall presenting my case study on our patient Jane. Jane is a 14-year-old female presenting with a BMI indicating that she is in the obese category for her age. For the past 6 years, her weight has steadily increased. This increase in her weight puts Jane at risk for a number of different medical conditions. Jane is at risk for diabetes, hypertension, as well as future conditions that might appear later on in adulthood. One of Jane's nutrition goals is to help with changing her unhealthy eating patterns so that they don't continue into adulthood. Environment and genetics and the role they play in Jane's case. Jane's mother and father's weight fall into the obese category. Children with obese parents are 95% more likely to be obese. Jane's mother also suffers from high cholesterol and her father from type 2 diabetes, which puts Jane at a higher risk for developing those conditions later on or even sooner. The environment has a big impact on eating patterns. The type of food available in the house affects eating patterns as well. Jane's parents reported that they often go out for fast food, which can lead to unhealthy food choices. Jane's parents also reported that by the end of the month, their food budget is very limited, which is one of the reasons why they go out for fast food. Nutrition goals for intervention. Based on Jane's history, I would recommend a more structured intervention provided by her team of medical professionals, which should include mental health counselors along with nutrition specialists, family, and physicians. Jane's parents will be encouraged to attend all the nutritional counseling sessions as they are the main preparers of her food choices. They will also be counseled on how to buy more healthy snacks, how to buy more healthy food at the grocery store, and we'll be given some resources for that. An assessment of Jane's nutrition. Jane weighs in at 152.9 pounds and 62 inches in height. Jane's BMI is 27.9 according to the CDC BMI calculator for child and teens. Her BMI places her in the 96th percentile and in the obese category. Jane's recommended daily calorie intake is 2,237 calories per day. Her carbohydrate intake should be between 252 to 364 grams. And water is recommended. It is recommended that she drinks about 2.3 liters of water per day. And according to her food diaries, she doesn't really drink very much water at all. And it was about 8 ounces within those 3 days. Her fiber intake should be 26 grams per day, and her protein should be 52 grams per day. Recommended fat intake is between 62 to 87 grams per day. And according to the DRI calculator, Jane's recommended saturated and trans fat intake should be as low as possible, especially since her overall fat intake is very excessive. When looking at total daily calorie intake, Jane exceeds her recommended 2,237 calories. Her first and third day intake was over 3,000 calories. Jane's second day food diary was in surplus of 400 calories. Even though that's not as quite as much as the first and third day, that still puts her in the excessive category. If you add up all of that extra calories that she's taking in, that definitely would lead to that weight gain that we've seen over the past few years. A 3-day average of Jane's food diaries gives us a picture of how she eats. Her average carbohydrate intake is within the daily recommended amount of 252 to 364 grams. Jane's average is 354.7 grams, which is about 47% of her calorie intake. However, since Jane's blood glucose level was a little bit elevated, it would be necessary to make sure that she's getting complex carbohydrates and not carbohydrates from that highly processed snack food that she does enjoy. Jane's daily fiber is 18 grams out of the recommended 26 grams. So that is something also that we need to look at increasing in her diet. Her fat intake is excessive according to the range that she should be within. Her daily fat consumption should be no more than 87 grams, and her average was 131.2 grams per day. That's over 200% of Jane's calories are coming from fat consumption. That is definitely very high and needs to be monitored very closely, as that can lead to other health issues as well as the high cholesterol, which her mother has. Protein intake for Jane should be 59 grams per day. Jane's intake is excessive, with an average of 102.5 grams per day. Now, an excess of protein, if that builds up, it could lead to issues with kidney function. There are some other issues that might occur if her protein intake is excessive continuously. Her vitamin D is low as well, and we will look at how to increase that. Jane's sodium level is excessive, and this could lead to other health issues. The excess in sodium probably could be from the fact that she eats fast food quite frequently, and she also eats frozen foods quite frequently, like frozen chicken nuggets and things like that. Jane's fasting glucose is slightly higher than the reference range and should be monitored closely due to her father's history of diabetes. Her LDL is elevated at 113 and should be below 110. That's just a little elevated, but due to the fact that her mom has high cholesterol, it is necessary to try to get that quote unquote bad cholesterol down below where it should be. Her good cholesterol is also under the recommended range of being greater than 55. So that would be something too to encourage her to look at how to increase that. So definitely it should be monitored closely. Like I said, Jane's intake of fat is significant, and that really, really needs to be monitored and kept close track of. She also needs to up her fiber intake, which will help with that, keeping her blood glucose steady. It will help with other digestion and all kinds of things. And once again, her protein intake is excessive. For her intervention plan, the first issue that we have to address is that daily fat intake. Our goal is to reduce that intake by 40 grams. So for breakfast, she can have eggs 2 days per week, not fried in butter, but fried with, maybe cooked with a little bit of olive oil or just some cooking spray. Full fat bacon and sausage is going to be replaced with turkey bacon and sausage. Half and half will be exchanged for a fat-free version of that milk, or with possibly almond milk or even coconut milk as an alternative. Fat-free frozen breakfast items such as the waffles that Jane enjoys and whole grain breads will replace the full fat favorites. Adding fish like tuna, mackerel, salmon, and foods fortified with vitamin D like some dairy products, orange juice, soy milk, cereals is going to help boost her vitamin D also. She will also be encouraged to be active and possibly do some of that activity outside, which will help with that vitamin D as well. Jane eats lunch through the school lunch program, and it will be necessary to educate her on how to make healthier choices from the selections offered. Even though the school lunch program follows guidelines for nutrition balance, the options are not always as healthy as we would like. Therefore, it is necessary to teach Jane how to make good choices between what she is offered. She also will be encouraged to bring lunch from home as much as possible. Changing her afternoon snack to fruit or vegetables will help increase her fiber intake as well as cut down on that fat and carbs. Jane's parents will be encouraged to include Jane and her siblings in dinner preparation. Limiting the number of meals consumed out at fast food restaurants will also be encouraged. Breaded fried foods need to be limited to an occasional dinner, and healthier versions of Jane's favorite food, pizza, will be encouraged as well. And as an alternative to the regular potato chips she enjoys for a snack, baked chips are going to be offered as a good exchange for that. Jane's diet will include more heart-healthy grains in the form of steel-cut oats for breakfast and whole grain bread for sandwiches. Adding more fresh fruits and vegetables to Jane's diet will help increase fiber intake. Cutting out or reducing the number of full sugar sodas from her diet is advised. This will keep her blood glucose levels at a healthy level. With these changes in her diet, there should be a positive effect on her sodium levels, also if they decrease the number of times they eat out. Jane may be resistant to change, but these gradual changes should be tolerable. She will be reminded that she doesn't have to completely give up her favorite foods. Everything in moderation. She will need to learn what moderation means. There are lots of community resources that Jane's family can access to help with the food shortage. In our community, we have Minnie's Food Pantry. We have a Christian food pantry. We have all kinds of food pantries. They'll also be encouraged to apply for SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program through the government, which can help with them, give them a budget for buying food and nutritional food. Also on the website for SNAP, even if you're not enrolled in SNAP, there are classes that they can do to find healthy recipes, learn how to shop on a budget, and different things like that. The 3-day meal plan that I developed, I chose to add more whole grains, more fresh fruit to Jane's diet, and the lunches are based on making them at home. I tried to add some fiber in for the snacks, get some of that water in that she's not drinking, and using some healthier carb alternatives like brown rice instead of white rice, and putting some vegetables in, like with a stir fry, using those kinds of things. She can still have her sandwich. She can still have fruit and things like that for lunch. It's just changing them to whole grain wheat bread, possibly even some low-fat cheese might be also another option. Same thing with day 2 and 3. I just tried to add and change some things. I've added some fish in there, added some whole wheat spaghetti because she likes spaghetti, and just more fruit. Tried to switch her sugary beverages to diet beverages such as Coke Zero. The handout I supplied for her will hopefully help her see useful changes she can make to her diet